Thank you for joining us on Citizen Live at 1. I'm Lillian Muri Kanenen. 69 suspects have been arrested following a major security operation by the police in the coastal towns of Lamu and Tana River. The arrests come just a day after a contingent of Kenya Defence Force soldiers were deployed to the northern coast region. Meanwhile, residents of the area hard hit by armed attacks in recent weeks continue to live in fear, with some already fleeing their homes to safer havens that include police stations and government prisons for the women and children, while the men have been reportedly spending nights in the bushes. We'll be bringing you details on this story shortly. And elsewhere, county governments have been faulted for not maximizing on revenue collection in order to meet some of their expenses. The chair of the Commission on Revenue Allocation, Mika Cheserem, says county governments perform poorly in revenue collection, ranking even worse than county councils that were there before the enactment of the new constitution in 2010. Speaking during the launch of a handbook on revenue legislation for county governments at Ostrich Farm in Kitengela, Kajiado County, the CRA chair said maximizing on revenue collection is pegged on proper planning, stating that with astute planning, counties such as Mandera and West Pokot had been able to properly utilize their lean resources compared to other counties more endowed with resources.
Fine, that's okay. That's good.
On the record, it appears the counties are collecting less than the local authorities. One, obviously there must be some apathy on the collectors. Secondly, because in the county revenue account, some of the money is not being actually put directly in the revenue account. It's spent before it's swept to the revenue account.
We will release more money to build the schools, to build the dams, to buy the graders to do the road. We will build markets and all that. So I think at Kajiado we have tried. We have spent quite a bit on development, but I look forward to spending more on development in this financial year.
Maendeleo ya wanawake elections came to a close yesterday in various counties in the country. In Garissa, Kajiado and Samburu counties, the elections ended peacefully, while in Machakos County, the elections ended in fistfights and chaos.
In Machakos County, a lady loudly protested after the name of her preferred candidate for one of the vacant positions, Joyce Kameneka Simbi, could not be found in the voters' register. Her supporters, however, held demonstrations all the way to the county commissioner's office, demanding the elections be cancelled. However, the elections continued and Francisca Mutinda was elected the chairperson of the county branch.
Na tunataka haki yetu. Hatutaki kunyanyaswa. Huu ni wakati ambao hatutaki kudungiliwa nyama kwa mti. Na mimi nikikasirika na kuanga muluya. Nasema hivi wa mama. Sisi hatutaki maneno ya kutungiliwa nyama kwa mti. Tunataka ile nyama tumechinja. Kama ni mbuzi hiyo ni mbuzi. Kama ni kuku ni kuku. Lakini maneno ya kuletea ati nyama mnaambiwa nyama ndio hii na nigasia ujui ni nguruwe, ujui ni umbu ama ujui ni nini. Sisi tunataka nyama tumejichinjia.
In Kajiado County, confusion and tension reigned during the elections, with some aspirants claiming the exercise was marred by irregularities. Voters called for a rerun of the election after the delegates rejected the election of a member from Kajiado North and demanded the post be given to a local woman from Kajiado West constituency. And in Garissa County, the newly elected Maendeleo ya Wanawake chair lady Kwarisha Mohammed promised to step up the fight against the cultural practice of female genital mutilation that has become rampant in the county and the high levels of illiteracy. Finally, in Samburu County, Naomi Lekeikum from Sirata village was declared the winner of the highly contested seat of chairperson. Naomi vowed to promote peace building between the Samburu and Turkana communities who have been engaged in conflict for many years. Liz Anyango, live at 1.
And herders in Kieni in Nyeri County have allegedly razed huge tracts of grassland at a private ranch in Solio in what is seen as retaliation against the ranch's management after the herders were denied access into the farm to graze their livestock. Last week, the herders had forcefully gained entry into the ranch and grazed their herds, claiming the drought currently being experienced in some parts of Nyeri County had reduced the areas where they could find grass to feed their animals. No arrests have been made yet, but the Central Region Police Boss Larry King has warned the residents against trespassing private property.
Mwenyewe huku hata pikipiki nikaambia watu pikipiki hakuna kulipichwa, watu wabebo waende huko. Hata zimamoto ikija ilikuta hiyo moto tumezima. Mpaka sasa hata ninajaribu siogagi na maji moto, sasa naoga na moto. Bibi amepata kila baru kile kwa sababu nilifanya kazi mpaka hiyo moto nikaona haitaharibu. Na haikuwa pande hii ati inakaa kama
afadhali tuelewane. Tuelewane kabisa na tuheshimu mali ya mwenyewe. Tuheshimu mali ya mtu yeyote. Wacha tuheshimu mali yenu. Tunaheshimu hawa ng'ombe, tunaheshimu property ya mtu yeyote Kenya hii. Na iko sheria ya kulinda property ya mtu.
9 suspects arrested aboard a vessel seized by KDF last week off the coast of Lamu have been arraigned in a Mombasa court. The 9 are facing charges of drug trafficking. The suspects, all of whom are foreigners, did not take a plea as there was no translator in court at the time. Among the suspects are 6 Pakistanis, 2 Indian nationals and 1 Iranian. They were aboard a ship that was seized off the Kenyan waters. The suspects were arraigned before Senior Mombasa Principal Magistrate Justice Kituku. 974 grams of heroin was found in one of the compartments in the ship during inspection. The prosecution in the case wants to be given 2 weeks to complete investigations.
By the investigating also of this money.
And let's revisit the situation in Lamu now. 69 suspects, as earlier mentioned, have been arrested following a major security operation by the police in the coastal towns of Lamu and Tana River. The arrests come just a day after a contingent of Kenya Defence Force soldiers were deployed to the northern coast region. And meanwhile, residents of the area hard hit by armed attacks in recent weeks continue to live in fear. Some have already fled their homes to safer ground, and most of them are currently seeking refuge in police stations and government prisons, and for the women and children, that is, while the men have been reportedly spending the nights out in the bush. And we'll be back shortly. Don't go away.